Hi all. Everything in my video is pulled from the public domain, and I am using them under the Fair Use, Fair Dealings guidelines. Everything I say is my own opinion. You should look into this information for yourselves, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Good morning, everybody. Well, once again, we have a lot to cover. These videos, I try to cut them off at a certain time, but they just keep getting longer and longer. We have so many things to discuss, and you guys have been quite vocal on several of my articles. So we're just going to cover all that today. Let's just jump in with both feet and get going, shall we? Let's go. First story today, we're going back to that whole travelist acting thing that Harry did yesterday. It's come out that he reached out to a station there promising a no-holds-bar interview. Well, let this young lady explain what happened. Watch this.
A really strange, bizarre thing happened to us last week. Out of the blue, we were contacted by representatives of, wait for it, Prince Harry, for an interview. No strings attached. I thought it was a scammer, truly, but no, it all checked out. Long story short, Prince Harry is part of a new eco-travel movement called Travelist. Because it's inspired by values, kaitiakitanga, manaakitanga, Prince Harry wanted the worldwide launch to happen out of Aotearoa and on this program. Well, after a lot of toing and froing, the interview didn't happen. It will, apparently, his people say, but just not now. He sent us this.
So basically, he offered them a no-holds-bar interview and then took it back and sent them a pre-recorded message. Now, you heard what she said. It will happen. Yeah, I wouldn't hold your breath. You guys had a lot to say about this. So let's just look at two of the comments that really caught my attention. Now, I don't know if these are accurate or not, but if they are, darn, really. So to start with, this particular follower, Gillian Templeton, pointed out that piece was not filmed in New Zealand because the trees are not New Zealand trees. And it's pretty obvious that the woman who was speaking knows that there's not going to be a tell-all, no-strings interview. She also pointed out that the channel is one of those free-to-air channels in New Zealand and hardly has anybody watching it. Maybe that's why Harry and Meghan chose it. Remember, they only wanted to work with grassroots, stations and people. Remember that? Now, another one of my followers stated that this particular group of people killed off the native race that was there, made several animals extinct, that they're responsible for dividing the country, that they're trying to force the language on people to replace English, and stated that this channel does not represent New Zealanders, that the New Zealanders really just don't want Harry there. Now, to be fair, Vicky Wood said that television announcement was made on a Maori television, which is a New Zealand channel which broadcasts programs that help revitalize their language and culture, and states it is funded by the New Zealand government. That group compromises 17.1% of their total population of New Zealand. Now, this person says that this group is mindful of the environment, but does Harry not want the rest of the country to be involved in his initiative as well? And why in the world would vacationers want their hosts rating them? It sounds too much like being scolded by mom for leaving wet towels on the bathroom floor. Spot on, I completely agree. And finally, this follower pointed out that the heart of that culture and their values is family, caring for each other, respecting and cherishing the elders, and these two, Harry and Meghan, have no concept of either. Interesting comment. Well, when it comes to my story from yesterday about Harry suing because his integrity and honesty has been brought into question, this follower pointed out the irony of that, especially when you think back and remember how he lied about helping and finding freedom, and that nasty text message that was so bad they couldn't even read it in court, the one he sent to Thomas Markle as he was laying all alone in the hospital after having heart surgery. Yeah. Thora Gould also asks, what honesty? What integrity? And I love how apparently right in the middle of Harry giving that word salad speech. By the way, I played that for my husband, and my husband even said to me, "What the hell is he saying?" I just looked at my husband and said, "It's called word salad." Anyway, while this was going on, apparently right in the middle of that, an Imodium advertisement came up for reasonable and fair. Spot on. Oh my God. You guys know I have no control over what advertisements come up. I just think that's just hilarious. All right, let's move on to our stories for today, shall we? All right, we're starting right off with this statement put out by the Queen that due to her mobility issues, she's going to let Charles open Parliament and read her speech for her. Chris Ship picked up the story very quickly. A lot of the news organizations picked up the story very, very quickly. It became a big deal because, after all, the Queen has only missed in 70 years 2 state openings. This is a big deal. So, of course, everybody was biting their nails. How was this going to go? How was this going to go? And then it struck me, what you're seeing is the future. Charles, Camilla, with William there as support, because of course eventually it'll be William's turn. It was quite sad to see it all go down without the Queen, but this gave me some hope that the monarchy will survive. So here's some videos to show you how it went. Notice at the end of the first clip, the way Charles looks at the crown. He's just thinking about his mother. Watch this.
My lords, pray be seated.
So I'm not going to play, obviously, the whole speech, but here's just the ending portion of it for you.
My lords and members of the House of Commons, other measures will be laid before you. Her Majesty prays that the blessing of Almighty God may rest upon your councils.
So, ladies and gentlemen, today we saw history. All right, let's move on now to our next story. All right, the next thing I want to throw out is just an observation. You guys remember when Amber Heard told everybody that she was going to donate her divorce settlement, and then come to find out, I believe she told people she did, and then come to find out she didn't. Let's not forget that Meghan won a settlement through the courts, through the mail on Sunday. She won the £1 in damages, and then she won an undisclosed amount. Now, who knows what she won? It could have been $100. Who knows? But the point is, she said she was going to donate it, and you never heard another word about it. So if she donated it, surely she would have, told people that she donated it. Just a thought. All right, let's move on. All right, next up, this story just came up I wanted to touch on, saying that Meghan is going to ask Apple or Amazon if they want to back her new cartoon series Pearl that was axed by Netflix. I only have 2 comments on this. Number one, I'm sure that Netflix had them sign some sort of agreement. You can't just go to another service. They're probably locked in there. And number 2, after the way that they have not produced anything for Spotify and not produced anything for Netflix, I do not believe another streaming service would take them on at this time. All right, moving on. All right, for our next story, we're going to cover the island of Guernsey. I hope I'm saying that right. The Queen sent out a lovely message for the anniversary of their liberation from enemy occupation. And of course, because it's Platinum Jubilee year and because she's having mobility issues, she sent Sophie and Edward, the Earl and Countess of Wessex, to represent her. Love it. Sophie and Edward arrived in the Channel Islands on Sunday, and first they watched a march to celebrate the national day. Sophie arrived at the airport wearing her Amelia Wickstead dress that she had previously worn in 2019 to Royal Ascot. They met with officials when they landed, and of course they're marking the Platinum Jubilee and Liberation Day. Now, Sophie then changed into her favorite Erdem flower dress paired with an Indiana jacket from Altuzarra, and Edward wore a gray suit with a purple shirt, and they waved to the crowds as they stood on the hotel balcony because there was a parade. Now, today marked the end of the occupation by Nazi Germany during World War II. I think this is fabulous. So their tour started on a Sunday, and they went to the government house where they unveiled a sundial. Watch this.
3, 2, 1, go.
And the structure is made of bronze and was designed by a local artist to mark the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. The two of them watched a Liberation Day service, which was a bank holiday in Jersey. Looks like they had a great time. Then they went to a local hotel there to meet senior citizens who actually gave living accounts of the occupation. I think that's just absolutely amazing. They lived through World War II and through the occupation. Now, they then went to a place called Glacis Field in Jersey, where they unveiled a plaque. And of course, while they were there, they got to speak to some of the people there that were wearing actual uniforms from that time period. I think that's pretty cool. All right, then Sophie changed into a forest green mini dress, and they headed off to the next event, which, wow, I think they just have the best time on these tours. So the next event was a Liberation tea dance at Beau Seigneur, I hope I'm saying that right, with the island's occupation generation and some special guests. And Sophie was dancing with Rob Rinder while her husband took to the dance floor with another young lady to do the waltz. Now, we all know that Sophie is known for her love of dance and was spotted with Lady Louise, her daughter, in the audience for Strictly Come Dancing in 2018. And here's a video for you. I had no idea Sophie has some moves. Watch this. Now, I'm not sure what's going on in this picture. Maybe that's the kind of underwear they used to wear back there, and he was just showing it to her. Gosh knows, because those are some big knickers. Anyway, they went around the room chatting with all the residents. You know, this is where I think they have their strength, these two particular people. They're so down to earth, and they're so, easy to talk to. I think I've said that to you guys before, but it's true. Now, this is where I want to deviate a little bit, you guys. I mean, we're talking about them celebrating the release of occupation from the Nazis. This is going to segue into our next story because they were celebrating the defeat of the Nazis, the end of their occupation by the Nazis. Now, let's not forget that the Nazis exterminated not only Jewish people, but gypsies, mentally deficient, people with Down syndrome, anybody that they deemed inferior. We're all aware of what happened, which makes this next story really harsh. Bear with me. So here's what happened. There were about 100 Orthodox Jews, more than 100. They were praying before a flight. Nothing wrong with that. I pray before I get on an airplane. And apparently the mask mandate is still in place with Lufthansa, as best as I can tell. Now, keep in mind, we're talking over 100 Jewish people were on this flight, but a few of them decided they weren't going to wear their masks, and there was a big stink about it, okay? So when the plane landed, the police were called, and it was explained that the Jewish people on the flight, now remember, there's only a handful of people who didn't want to wear the masks, but all the Jews on the flight were barred from getting on the next plane, if you can believe it. Now, this is where it gets a little bit more difficult. There actually is a video of a woman who works for Lufthansa saying, and I'm quoting, "It was Jewish people who made the mess. Jewish people made the problem." So the Jewish customer said, "So Jewish people on the plane made a problem, so all Jewish people are banned from the day?" And the rep said, "From this flight? Yes." Yeah. Shocking behavior. Now, this video was apparently put up on YouTube, where it was promptly removed because it was accused of being hate speech. So if you're interested in seeing what this woman said, there is a link in the description box and you can watch it for yourselves. Disgusting in this day and age. The news article points out that there were 24 armed police officers standing there to ensure that not one Jewish person boarded the flight or caused an issue at the gate because they were trying to get on the flight that they had paid for. Now, again, the article says that only 2 to 3 people out of the hundreds of Jews that were on that flight didn't wear their masks. I'll never fly Lufthansa again. One of the people on the plane said that halfway through the flight, the pilot made an announcement that flight attendants were frustrated with people blocking the galleys for prayer, which that I can get, and having to repeat themselves about needing to wear a mask. And if you don't obey the orders, you're going to have problems with your connecting flights. So you should know it's being reported that there was no mask enforcement issues in first class. And one of the first class flight attendants was not wearing her own mask for most of the flight, interestingly enough. So this story segues back around to Harry and Meghan. My goodness. You should know that one of the actors who was in Harry's eco-travel skit was suspended from his job for saying that Jews were expendable and Hitler had a right to roast them. What he actually told an audience at what he considered to be a comedy event, his statement was, and I'm quoting, "Would you roast an HIV person? You roast them because they're expendable, just like the Jews. Hitler had a right, you know." Yeah, this is who Harry hired to be in the skit with him. Now, eventually, this guy apologized to the New Zealand AIDS Foundation and the New Zealand Jewish Council, saying, yeah, they were just dumb words. Yeah, that's kind of like, Harry in his Nazi uniform. This reminds me of when Harry and Meghan called that super fan to thank him for fundraising, and come to find out they had been threatening Catherine and William and the children and saying horrible things. Harry's team is supposed to vet these people before they use them. It's like, don't they vet these people? So, of course, people reached out to Harry's team for a comment, just like they reached out after he thanked the woman who'd been harassing his family, and got the exact same answer that he got last time. No comment. I'm beginning to wonder if Harry is a closet anti-Semite. Well, that's a lot of information. Okay, first of all, don't forget the link to the video I was telling you about is in the description box if you want to watch it. I want your comments below. Now, for those of you who tell me you keep getting unsubscribed or you're not getting notifications, YouTube actually has a video on how to make sure you're getting your notifications, so you might want to take a look at that. Don't forget you can email me. You can follow me on Getter, Twitter, Rumble. For those who have donated to my coffee fund, thank you so, so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.